Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 77 of Build Your Stash and Craft. This week we're going to do decorated rocks, and here's some samples of some of them that I made, and we'll just make a few. So this one is Decoupage napkin. We just used our water glue to do this one, and you can make mandalas with them. And I thought, what would our colors look like on there? The ones we made last week, our glosses. And so I put some gloss on this one. Just in case you want something you wanted to match a project, you can use stencils on your rocks. And of course the old standby Ladybugs. So this is what I used to do when I was little. I used to make them for the craft fair and put magnets on the back of them. This is a rock that I put 2 coats of our clear gloss on. And then this one is just what I call a quilted rock. And then I wanted to show you how the napkins look on the dark colored stones if you don't paint them white. This one I painted white, this one I left black. So you want to make sure that you've got something underneath of there to make it stand out, or on the black rocks it's going to really blend in. So let's just get started with, we'll do the easiest one first. Let me just move these aside. And the easiest one is just coloring your rocks. I'm going to keep the piece of parchment here, but just taking our wax colors, or our liquid gloss colors, just going to take that and use the same paintbrush that I was using earlier. Let's pull this to the middle. I don't want to put that on the parchment yet. And I'm just going to put that color on the rock. It gives it really nice color, and then it gives it nice shine. But just look at what that does, the difference between what it looked like and what it can look like. And I think that these are really pretty. To me, rocks are like nature's buttons. I mean, I just love rocks. I love having buckets of them and running my hands through them. I love searching out the prettiest ones. I'm always looking at the ground and picking up rocks. So there we go. That's as easy as that one was. And then you can put more coats if you want it to be darker. If you want it to be glossier, you could put just the gloss on it. Let me grab the gloss real quick. If you don't want it to be darker but you want it to be glossier, I'm just going to take it right out of the bottle. And I'll just take this really plain rock here. It's got really pretty colors in it, but you really can't see once it dries. I can remember as a kid I used to love to get rocks wet, because the second you got them wet you saw all of the beautiful color. And I had a rock tumbling kit, but it took too long. So we'll just go ahead and get this gloss all over here. And the nice thing is it really goes on fast. You can just let it kind of run down the sides and get all over. And there we go. Now that one's done. Now on the glossy rock that I did put 2 coats. So I would want to go back and put another coat on that one. You don't have to worry about the bottom if you don't want to, but you can if you want to make sure that both sides are the same. So, and then I thought with the decoupage one, the first thing that you have to make sure that you do with your napkins is you have to separate them. If you don't separate them, what happens is when you glue it onto something, the back and the front will separate then, and your good part will fall off. So the way to separate them is to, I just have a piece of our masking tape here. Just put that, now on your napkins you've got this part that's really kind of like, it's serged together, it's held together, and then you get out into the napkin a little bit and it's just plain. Don't do it on the spot where it's been pressed together. Go out into the plain spot, press your tape on there and then just pull it off. And what that does is that gets it started for you. To me, that's the easiest way. I can't sit here and do this all the time. Of course, I've already pulled that off, so now it's going to be easy, but that just drives me crazy. So, and then just separate your napkin like this and set your back aside because you can use it for so many different things. You can stamp on it and then put it on something. But that's just how easy that is. Now, some napkins have 2 or 3 layers. This one only has 1. So what I did with my rock on the white one, I just tore around the face and the white blended in on the edges because it was a white rock. On the black rock that I did here, you can see the white edges. So like if you have tissue paper and you rip it, the edges kind of disappear. But with the napkins, they're not quite thin enough and that edge still turns out. So with this one, after I separated my napkin, I cut it out and then I just held it down and then I just took a pencil and I drew around it because I wanted to know where it was going to sit. And now what I'm going to do, if I can see that circle that's on there, I'm going to take some orange paint and I'm going to paint that circle that I drew so that I can put my emoji on the yellow circle, and that way he'll show up better, just like the difference between the black and the white. I didn't want to do white again because I kind of really wanted the black background. But I thought, well, if I put the yellow behind it, I could put white behind it too. You know, if you've got a napkin, let's say with pink flowers, you could put pink behind it. But I'm just going to go around this. Now, this one will need a second coat because it's not going to be dark enough all on its with just that first coat. But once I follow these lines, the second coat will be easier after this dries. And if I don't quite get it and there's a little yellow sticking out, I can possibly scratch it off. If there's a little spot where I didn't get any yellow and the black is kind of showing through, it's only going to be right at the edges. So that'll be all right. Remember that handmade does not have to be perfection. And crafting is a whole lot easier when you remember that. And there we go. I'm going to just let that sit and dry, and then I'll put some more on it afterwards. So, and then our ladybug, I did the first one on a black. So I did not have to do the head because it was already black. But for this one, I'm going to have to paint the whole thing. And this one is just a rock. I just went out to my garden and got these rocks. So we'll put a little bit of black right here. And it's probably enough. If not, I can get some more. I don't like to have lots of extra black because I don't really have anything I want to wipe it on my drop papers or anything. So just go ahead. I keep putting the paint on the wrong side of the brush for the way I want to hold it. I'm just going to try and make this line as nice as possible. I'm going to kind of round it just a little bit. And there we go. I'll just let that sit and dry, and then I'll do the rest in red. And for the dot mandalas, all you need to do is just pull out a few different color paints and some different, now I have different paintbrushes, not for the brush portion, but for the bottom of them, so that they would make different size circles. And what I did was I just tapped into it, and then you tap off. And then I see how big of a circle that's going to make, and I kind of choose my biggest one to start in the middle. And this is not a round rock exactly, and that's okay. So it doesn't have to be round to do the dot mandalas, even though they are round. And once you put that in the middle, then you just go dot, dot, dot. And as you go, it gets just a little bit smaller each time. I'm going to again start in the middle. Dot, dot, dot. And that's the easiest way to do your mandalas, to get your different size circles of the same color, is just use the same paint over and over like that, and as you go across, your dots will get smaller and smaller. And then just choose a different color. We'll use the yellow since we have it here, and this is just one of our whatever you call them, skewers that we got. And so this one, I'm just going to go here. Oops. And I kind of like to go back and forth a little bit, like across from each other. But you can just go around if you want to. And I messed that one up a little bit, but you know what? That just makes it unique. And there we go. And then you just choose another color, and you know, if you want to, you don't have to do all dots. You can do something else. You can do little dashes or whatever you want to do. Just want to try and get like one drop of this one. And I'm going to do this one with the end of this little paintbrush. And on this one, I just went out a little bit further. And I'll just go around instead of going opposites. See how it's working? Even though the stone is not round, it's still working out just fine. And you can get as detailed with these as you want to get. You can go around these when you're done and go around them with like with a white pen. You can put little swirls on them with the black pen. But with the black rock, that looks really cool, just bam, right off the bat. So let's put another coat. I didn't mean to put that in my water. No, I did, and then I put, whoops, smudge that a little bit. I can always touch it up later. I'm just going to take this yellow and put it on here again. Looks like it might even need a third coat, especially since I didn't get my brush really dry. And so now this bit of paint that I'm putting on is really wet. And it doesn't matter if there's little lines or anything in here. We're covering this up with the emoji. So you're not going to see it. You just want it to be yellow. If you have big black spots, those will show possibly through your emoji. Well, they will show through your emoji, not possibly. And there we go. There's that one. So let's see, just that quickly we have a colored rock with our gloss. We have a shined rock with our clear gloss. We've got our mandala done, and we're working on these two. Okay, so now I'm going to, let me grab a brush here. I'd like a flat one. There's a flat one. And we'll put our red on the little ladybug. But I just think this is fun, and this is something you don't have to go out and buy rocks for this. You can just very easily just go outside, and even if you live in the city. Okay, so, and I never told you this, but you know, when you live in the city, a lot of times, like places you go, like the doctor's office or something, they'll decorate outside their buildings with rocks. You know, so long as like a whole bunch of people don't take a few rocks. Don't take a bunch, but you know, you could always maybe take just a couple. You could even ask them. I've done that before. I went to a hotel once and they had some beautiful decorative grass, but it was fall. It was all dead but perfect because it was all dried. And my daughter thought I was crazy because I went back in and asked them if I could have some. Actually, I think they thought I was crazy because I went in and asked if I could have some. But they told me yes. So there we go. Now let's see. We really can't touch that one yet. Let's try putting a second coat on this one. And if I can figure out, oh, here it is. Come figure out where I set the color. And you do want to make sure that you wash these off because they get sticky really quickly. So you don't want to let them sit like I just did. And depending on how porous your rock is, it might take 2 or 3 coats to really get a nice shine. But like I said, if you don't want it darker, just put some clear on it. Maybe if it doesn't have a shine at the end, maybe we'll put the clear on. And see how that looks. I don't think I want to do another coat of the pink because I don't want it to be too dark. But there's that one. And we'll quick put a second coat of the clear on. I'm just wiping off my brush on the side. Try and get most of that off because I don't want to contaminate my jar too badly. I need to get one of my little containers and put some clear in there so that I have it to use without using it right out of the jar. Oh, Papa's listening to music at his house. I can hear it. There we go. I want to make sure I get a little bit because this one kind of dips in. I want to make sure that I get that side. And there we go. Push that aside. Looks like our Ladybug could use a second coat. It's kind of fun to get them all out and just kind of go back and forth while you're waiting for some to dry. If you're only doing one kind, you can always use your heat gun to dry them off faster. Most of these things, I don't think there's anything. I don't know that you would really want to heat the gloss because you don't want to breathe those fumes. And there we go. I think that that's going to be good enough to put him on as soon as that dries. So those two are done and that one is done. Let's go ahead and put a second coat here on our red because you can see through it still. Just be careful so you get a nice line right up there by the top. And then after that, you don't have to worry about it. You can just slap it right on there. It's moving on me. You could put a piece of your double-sided tape underneath your rock to hold it so that it doesn't move on you. I'll set him aside. Leave that out because it might need one more coat. Alrighty, I'll show you how you do how you can do a stencil. So these are just one of the stencils that we got at the Dollar Tree. We all got different ones maybe, but you can use them all the same way. So I'm just going to take my rock. Oh, that's not good. Oh, good. I just got a little bit over here. Let me just wipe that off real quick. Okay. I already took my rock while I had the plastic on and checked to see where it would fit. And then I'm going to go from the bottom side because this is a sticky stencil. And I'm just going to kind of line it up on the bottom where I can see it better. And then press it down. Give it a good press so that it sticks nicely. Now the one thing with this is that you don't want to let it dry too much, because it can, the paint can stick to your stencil when you go to pull it up, and you'll pull part of your design up with it. I know that because I just did that. I'm going to steal some of this red and just do it in red. And maybe a little bit of this orange. Only because there's really not enough red there to cover it. That yellow's gone. Well, let's see what it looks like. And just carefully peel that off. And there it is. Now, it's not showing up in the camera at all, but it really is quite pretty. Those colors are really modeled together very nicely. So what I'm going to do after that's dry, I'm going to use the gold pen that we got from the Dollar Tree. This one here, this metallic, because I did use this on the blue one that we made here, and just put some veins in it. So I'm going to use this to actually put veins in the other one and go around the outside, since it's actually blended in so much. And I think that will be really pretty. So let's get just a little bit more red right here where there was a black spot on the rock and it's shown through. So I'm just going to cover that a little bit. And then just use up the rest of the paint on my brush. There we go. Okay, and then for our ladybug, I let it dry. I use a marker to make the line because I have a hard time drawing a straight line with a paintbrush. And for the eyes, because we've already got the black is already dry, we can just do the eyes. And I did that. Just get just a little bit of white here. I used the bottom of my black marker. It was the perfect size for those eyes, for the whites of the eyes. So I just dipped it in and dipped it off. Oops, don't grab the red though. Just do that. Well, that wasn't very good. It didn't get very big. There we go. Do it again. Right over here. That one was much better. There we go. Eyes are one thing I'm a little bit fussy about. They kind of have to be like the same size, or they drive me crazy. I've stuck my hand in the mandala again. I probably should move that somewhere where I'm not sticking my hand in it. And then I think the last one that we have is the quilted rock. And with this, all I did was I just tore up colored pieces out of magazines, and you only need really little pieces. So, you know, just look through. This was a shirt. This was just part of an advertisement page. This was a vase. This was like a beautiful sunset. And so was this orange one, was also a sunset. This was a bathroom wall, and so was this one. But when you look at your magazines, this one here, which I really like and think that's really pretty, that was a piece of sausage. So nobody's going to know what it is once you tear up the little pieces. Let me just get these out of my hand now. But I wanted to show you really quick, when you're looking through magazines, you don't have to look for pictures. You just look for whatever colors you want to use. You know, like this red and white right here. Once you rip that into a square, you know, that's going to be, look at this beautiful pink here on this one. So, and whenever you look at even pages like this, you say, oh, that's just purple. It's not just purple. It's actually gradient from here to here. So if you need to use some color, that's really nice. It gives you depth without even you having to put that depth in there. Even when you look at this shirt, it's darker here than it is over here. And that's a beautiful color right there. Nobody's going to know it's a shirt once you rip that into a square. We'll do that. You're going to know because you're going to remember. Maybe you'll remember. I only remembered because I just did these earlier. But let's take that piece of shirt, and I wanted to show you about ripping paper. Whenever you're ripping something, if you don't want to have the white edges on it, the piece you're going to keep rip towards you. So I'm going to rip this way, and see how this has a white edge on it? This one does not. This one's all color. So just remember, the piece you're going to use, rip towards you, and it will not have a white edge. Now, if you want a white edge, then you rip away from you. But just rip that towards you, and there we go. Now what's going to happen, I want to make that smaller, so I'm going to rip this towards me. This one has no white edge on it, but this one does. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it around, and then I'm going to take this piece that I want to use and rip it towards me, and that's going to get rid of that white edge, so I don't have a white edge. And then all we do with this is water glue. Simple enough. And once it dries, then you just draw around it with the black marker. So, but what you're going to do with this is when it starts, I dried mine a little bit with the heat gun. And when it was just barely damp, pretty much dry on the top, but maybe a little wet underneath, then I went through and I just pushed down everything. So any wrinkles, anything that was sticking up, it just really pushed it all together. Every once in a while you get a little bump here or there as it dries. Don't wait till it's completely dry. It won't want to push down, and you don't want to put more glue on it. So when it's just barely damp, go in and push everything to the rock. The glue will be sticky enough then to hold it all together. But all you're going to do is you're just going to take your water glue, and I'm going to start right over here. And I'm going to put that piece we just tore out, if I can get one of them, right there, and then just paint it down. And then just use your brush to push any little wrinkles down, and make sure that you have your color underneath, or I mean your glue underneath as well as on top. That's what's going to seal it well. So just paint it on there like that, and I've got a few wrinkles right here, so I'm just going to push those down. If you have to, kind of give it a little pat with your brush. And again, as it's just about dry, go in and push any little wrinkles that you didn't get out, or any little wrinkles that popped up. Just push those down. I don't want that one there really, because I don't want the blue next to the blue. So I'm just going to move that over for a second. And I'm going to grab this green one. And it's too big, so I'm going to rip it towards me. And I'm just going to put that one right there. And your glue underneath, once you've painted it on, doesn't have to be super wet, because as it dries just a little bit, take this piece that I already did and put it over here. As it dries a little bit on your rock, it's a little bit tackier, so it grabs your paper just a little bit better. We can take this leftover orange piece. Now it has a little bit of white on it. I'm not going to worry about it, because I'm going to go over it with the black marker around the edges. So any place where I have a little bit of white, I'll make sure that I just get the marker on there. Grab a little piece of this purple. I've got a little bit of a dent right there. Oh, I thought this had a little point on it. Guess not. Oh well. We're just going to put that right there. And then as soon as this is dry, you just go through, you put your marker on it, and you can just use this just for something decorative in your art room. You can use it for a paperweight. You can give it to somebody for a paperweight. And this is something even fun for kids to do, because I know kids love to pick up rocks. And you know, you could do this and maybe leave a space on the rock that's open, and put where you got the rock. If you went on vacation and you picked that rock up somewhere and you want to remember where it came from, or your kids want to collect rocks as they go and then keep track of where they came from and put it on there. It's a fun thing to do. It's a cheap thing for them to have a remembrance of their vacation without having to buy a trinket at every little place you go. You could have them pick up a rock every little place, or every place you go. Just pick up a little rock, put it in a little sandwich baggie with a little note as to where it came from. Now see, this is quite wrinkly because of where it came over the edge. So that's when it's dry, I'm going to go in and I'm going to push that down, and that's going to work really well. That piece was too big, so I'm going to rip it. And now I did the top with the marker already to kind of show you what it's going to look like, and I'm going over some of those spots. And that's okay, because when I'm all done, then when I do the bottom, I'll just go back in and fix it. Just put another mark there. Well, I can't get a hold of this. I was trying to get the screen. This is a piece of lawn furniture. I remember that. And I ripped it the wrong way, but that's all right. We're just going to deal with it. And I just try and make sure that I don't have any of the rock showing, because it does really kind of show when you're all done. You can kind of, even if it's just blended right in there, it kind of shows up. So try and make sure you get the whole thing covered. Just a couple more little pieces here, and this will be all done. One more piece. Right. Just make sure I get that rock covered right there. And there we go. That's all done. Once it dries and we get it marked up, it'll look like that. And if you have something where you need to press it down, you just feel the need that you have to dip your finger just in your water glue and then put it on there and press it down. Because with that water glue on your finger, it makes it so that your finger will slide across the paper instead of sticking to it. So I'm going to set this one on the parchment with all that glue on it. Okay, and so let's we've got our glue out. Let's go ahead and put our little emoji guy on here. I'm not going to try and just keep it on the yellow circle, because once I put him on, I have to go over top of it anyways. And so the glue's going to get all over. And there we go. So we're just going to press him down. And these rocks are finished, and it does not like the glue, but that's okay, because what's going to happen is, there we go, we're going to let that dry. And I don't know if you can see how it's separating, because this rock is a finished rock, so there's little separations all over, but that's okay. We'll leave it like that, because then that is going to look really cool when it dries. At least I think it is. So we'll set him aside and let him dry. Finish up our little ladybug's eyes. And the way to do that is just find something that's smaller than what you used there. And I think I'll try this one. And again, I'm gonna go like that to see. And yes, it does look smaller. I'm going to put the blue dot right at the bottom, and one more right here, right at the bottom. Okay, now that's very thick, and when that's dry, I will just use my black marker, put a dot of black, And then, actually, I use just a plain old straight pen and dip that in the white, and that is how I get the whites of the eye. It's the only way I know how to get something that small. But so this is what his eyes look like. I used black marker to put that on, and then just a dot with a pen. And then for this here, I want something that has kind of a small end, and oops, we forgot to do the, lost my pen. I just had it out, and I just had it here. I use my black pen to do the eyes. So y'all tell me, where did I put it? I don't know. Well, we'll go with this one. It's not quite as good as the Sharpie, but when I find my Sharpie, I'll fix it. Easy enough. This is just a great one for kids. I always loved this as a kid. They always turn out. It's not one of those things where, you know, sometimes with the kids, they try something and it doesn't turn out and it makes them feel bad. So, and then just 3 dots anywhere. I try not to make them symmetrical, but I usually do go like in and out and in. And I was told once ladybugs only have 3 dots on their wing, because we have all these little, what I call ladybugs. Actually, that's why somebody told me this. I said, oh, look at all the ladybugs. And they said, those aren't ladybugs, those are Japanese beetles, and they're orange, not red, and they have lots of dots. And I never knew that. I don't know if they were right or not, but so there we go. There's our dots. And that one is pretty much done. I'm going to come back and, well, first off, I think what I'll try and do, let me see, I have my dryer here. I'm going to dry this a little bit and show you what I'm talking about pressing it down. So, but I do want to make sure you don't want to do it when it's wet. I'll just put it here and blow the papers everywhere. You want to do it when it's only damp. If it's wet, it's going to stick to your hand. So you want it to be kind of dry, but damp. Kind of where it's dry to the touch, where it doesn't stick to your hand when you touch it, but it doesn't feel completely dry. Okay, I'm going to call this good, and we are going to hope that it is good enough. But I just kind of want to show you. So here, where it's very wrinkly right here, so I just go in and I press that down. A lot of times I use like the palm of my hand, because that's round, and that just gives you nice pressure all over instead of just a little bit of pressure in one spot. And if I find some place where I really want to push it good, I push it. You're not going to get every single wrinkle out, but you're going to get a lot of them out. And it's really going to make it look pretty flat. And so there we go. Now when it's permanently dry, not at this stage, then you go around it with a black marker. You just go around each piece. But you definitely want it to be dry, or it will wreck your marker and it won't go on very nicely. So I am going to let all of this dry, and let's see, shall we put a third coat on this? I think I'll put a third coat on this. I got glue on this one. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a clear coat on this one. Might as well just do it really quickly. And then we'll see what those like. I'll finish up our feather with the pen. You've seen me coat those others, so I'm just going to show you this pen does work really, really nicely on these. I wish my lighting was better. But just nice little strokes. Makes it look more organic than a really solid line. And right here I peeled off the paint just a little bit, and I just went back over it. You need to like get some of the paint off of your pen as you go. And I don't know if you can see that, but it really looks nice. I was going to go around the outside edge, but I guess I can. I really wasn't sure. I kind of like the organicness of it without it, but this will make it definitely easier to see. And like I said, just go around it very organically. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And there we go. I'm not sure if you could, yeah, you can see it better now. And that's really pretty too. I love this one. I love that color, how it just kind of blends in, but it's just really nicely there. I'll be back in a few minutes, get this all. Okay, I'm back, and I just thought I'd show you really quickly how I just go ahead and just trace around each different little piece. I just left a couple here, and then you just meet up to wherever the next one is. Now this one we just have to do one side because the rest of it's all done. And this one too. And because all those were done around it, that one's already done. So there we go. That's how you do that. And that's how your quilted rock looks. So here are all of our rocks that we did. I did finish the eyes on our little ladybug. And I did want to show you, let me see if I pick it up. On this one, I went ahead and I put clear coat on this side and not on this side, so you can see that that's a little shinier than that. It's not a huge difference, but it does make it a little shinier. And then on this one, I put, and I don't know if you can see this very well, but I put our faux wink of Stella on this one. And it looks really pretty. This is the kind of rock that usually sparkles like that anyways. And so to have the sparkle all over looks really nice. But these are what they all turned out like. These are the ones that we did today. And then these are the sample ones I had done ahead of time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I had fun making it. And for next week, we're going to make some tassels. So we're going to need some of the perler beads and some of this kind of mesh type yarn, the kind with the mesh in it. It doesn't have to have this ribbon on it. If it was all mesh, it would almost be, or if it was mostly all mesh, it would probably be better, but this is going to work because this is what my Dollar Tree had, was this kind of mesh, and they had it in a lot of different colors, but it all had the ribbon on the edge. So that's what we're going to need for next week. So that's $2, which leaves us $3 to put in our bank. We had $7.50, so now we have $10.50, and next week makes a year and a half. It's video 78. So thank you very much, all of you, for sticking with me all of this time. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.